Hey, welcome to Talks and Tonics, straight talk with Jason, a modern guy just navigating life, health, business, and love in Canada. And I wanted to welcome back Anna Ahmed from Hitchyyc.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Yeah, have your beverage. You have your tonic.
I do.
Excellent. I have my tonic. Cheers. We're going to do this little toast. Woo! Try not to knock my mic. Wonderful. There we go. So it's I'm looking at the date here. It's been a couple of months since we've chatted last.
Yeah.
Right.
Time goes
Time's
quickly.
Yeah. Doesn't it? Like
so fast.
Yeah. Last time I saw you was at the Raindrops event.
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
So how was the Raindrops event?
It was good.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was good. It was fun. I had a good group of people, so it was a good thing. I donated some of my services to that.
I saw that.
Yeah.
I saw that.
Not sure.
And then I was actually gonna, sign up for it. Yes, but then I left early. Yeah, I was like, I've got to work, so I'm gone.
Yeah.
Right. But how did that go?
I didn't hear much back from it, but
no.
Yeah.
But then someone did.
Yeah, I saw that. There was something there, so okay. We'll see what comes from it. I did a little bit of follow-up, but I think people get busy after.
All right.
So, yeah.
So for those of us that are just listening and not knowing who Anna Ahmed is, this is the second time she's popping onto my podcast here, and we talk about modern dating. She's what would you describe your role as at Hitchyyc?
I would be a consultant.
Consultant, okay.
In love, life.
Yeah.
Yeah. And an event. I mean, this is kind of what I wanted to talk about too, is that it's kind of turned into, or maybe even that avenue of event planning and things like that. So
awesome.
Cultivator of connecting people.
A cultivator of connecting people. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. So not just an elevated dating kind of thing, but
I've noticed that was a thing. It's just like just connecting people in general.
It's so much needed right now.
Oh, it's so needed.
So needed.
And there's always someone that needs to be in any realm of life, right? People need to be connected. Absolutely. And I know the good ones. Yeah. Yeah. And I found that people are kind of like, they're like, well, can we come if we're not single?
Yes.
So I have my event coming up, and that's going to be more of like just like, singles and networking.
Okay.
Because it's going to be an anniversary event, right? That's from last year is when I had my first event.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. So let's talk about the event.
Yes.
You have a date?
So June 28th.
June 28th.
Yes.
Okay. Excellent.
It's going to be, again, the 5 senses.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's going to be an experience, which is still in the works.
Yes.
But it'll be like the tasting, and they're actually they're introducing their new menu.
Okay.
So they're going to be doing a tasting. There's going to be a drink included, probably in the in some of that.
Okay.
And then some social media and influencers and stuff like that will be there. So they're kind of rebranding, and I won't mention the venue yet, but it will be announced when the time comes. And
for those that didn't have the opportunity to attend your first event, tell us about how your past events have gone.
So originally I started wanting to elevate people in the dating world, and it was tough to get people to be like, hey, I want to make a change, right? Yes. And so I started having the events, or I was like, well, I'll have an event and let's just see, like, just to get some recognition or something. And so I started having the events, and it was like, I noticed at my first one, just the quality of people that were there. Yeah. And that was just pulled from my circle, right? That was a year ago. So it's grown, immensely since that first event. But also it was like the vibe that I created, right? It was like people were like, Anna. And I'm like, I know, right? And so I would go, because I talk to everybody when I go to the events, right? I just kind of get like feedback. I love feedback. And so people loved it, even for my, even for my birthday. That was an exciting one. And I told you, I wish you would have come to that.
But we only met after.
But we met after, yeah. Yes. And so, but it's just the people, because the place was, it was my buddy's place, but it was still like, it was just the quality of people that were there. And it's more telling at something like at like my birthday, because those are the people that I really want
absolutely
there, right? Not like I don't want anybody at my things, right? But
it's
it was
all inclusive, all inclusive event.
Everybody's amazing.
Yes. You don't have to be single,
and you don't have to be. Yes, okay. Yeah.
All right.
But other events, they've gone really well, and it's just like, and I know, and I'll sit back and I'll be like, So I realize what I've created, right? And it's just like another successful kind of thing.
Excellent.
Good-looking people, and just like people that are self-aware. Yeah. Because those are the people that I want in my life, right? And so that's just naturally what I'm drawn to, or what's drawn to me if I go out. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, and I've had an opportunity to meet some of your friends, and they're very high value ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Right. So it's I'm looking forward to this. So what can we expect from this June 28th event? Is it ticketed?
It will be ticketed.
Is there like a limit of people that can attend?
This one will, because it's quite a big venue, so there's going to be a lot more. It'll be open to a lot more people than some other events, just because of the space.
Yeah.
But it's kind of more introduced. It's just like I've tightened up some of the things in the business.
Okay.
As far as like knowing what direction I want it to go, or at least have a clear idea of that.
Okay.
But it's just kind of like, again, it's going with connecting good people, and a lot of people and businesses. I've had opportunity to kind of like propose some good ideas for events. Great. And so people are starting to notice that I bring good people.
Yeah.
And then I bring a good vibe, and I know, and I'm very particular with my experiences. So if I go to an event, and I've done this in the last little bit because I've gone to a lot of events, I'm particular in and I kind of sit back and I kind of watch how things are going, and how what they've done, and what the venue and the space that was chosen, and just kind of like activities for people. And and I walk away and I kind of write it down on like my, all my web of ideas.
You got your notes and ideas, yes.
And so I bring a good experience, and so people are starting to recognize that and want me to create their experience.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
One of your past events was at Rumble.
Yes.
So do we expect some boxing happening at your June 28th event? Yeah.
Probably not, but that's a good idea.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I've gone to a couple like anniversary events in the last little bit, and it's there's some things that I kind of like, I'm like, oh, maybe I should be a little creative with this thing, or I'm wanting to make Hitch more of like a community.
Yes.
And so that's kind of what I'm trying to incorporate, and the monetizing part is coming through that a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm learning that there's such a great need to bring this community of high value personalities.
Yeah.
Single and also couples.
For sure.
So it's not just a modern dating event. It's actually it's an event for all to come to.
Oh, for sure.
And it's been a couple of months, so I attended a speed dating event.
Oh, how did that go?
Oh my goodness, it was it was So the rules, you sign up for the speed dating event, and then the rules that they send you. Oh, make sure you brush your teeth. Make sure you choose something nice.
Yeah.
Make sure you shower.
Yeah.
Before your first date. And I was just like, isn't that a given? Right? Isn't that a given when you are going to meet people for the first time? Right? So they rounded it. There's 8. Yeah, it was 8 dates. We had 8 minutes, and by the end of it, I was exhausted.
Yeah.
We were just chatting all the basic questions.
Yeah.
I wish they actually had other questions on there. Like,
they had questions for you.
They didn't. No, they didn't. They didn't.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Oh, hi, hello, 8 minutes, and by the end of it, I was just exhausted, and you can tell the other people that were participating in it, were getting exhausted too.
Yeah.
And there's some personalities there that I had to pull teeth.
Yeah.
It was like pulling teeth.
Yeah.
Right. To get even some kind of reaction.
Yeah.
Right. And so with me being exhausted by the end of it, you get your card and you get to check off who you want to, who you want to match with. I couldn't even remember,
Oh, really?
Check mark, check mark, check
mark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then in 24 hours, I got a couple of matches.
Okay.
And I couldn't even remember who these people were when I chatted with them.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So I went for coffee with one, and the other one, I decided that you know what, she wasn't a match for me.
Right.
Right. Right off
Why?
the bat.
What was lacking?
It was so in dating. Like I know that women like to be pursued,
Yeah.
but I like to be pursued too. Right. So now now you have a number as a female,
Okay.
and I have a number as a male. And when I text you, great, let's make some plans. And you keep pulling. You have to keep pulling these things.
Okay.
So you kind of wait for the response, and and you're like, okay, great, let's make some plans, right? And I'll make some plans, and um, and that second date, you know, I had you just like, okay, well, the second date should be coffee or a drink, something like
Okay.
that, right? And
What was the first one? What was the first
the
drink?
first
Or
one
first?
was first one was a coffee date,
Oh, okay.
right? Starbucks, and she just like she was freshly new to the dating scene. She was separating from her husband, and she just got right into her experience with the separation and the divorce. And I was just like, hey, you know what? I'm going through that too.
Right.
I like let's
not
delete that
talk
part.
about
Let's
it.
move forward
Yeah,
from
yeah,
that,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
that I don't know if you ever read that book, Three T's.
No.
3 T's to meet like when you meet somebody, you to have 3 T's with them, and after the 3 T's with them, essentially you have enough about that other person if you want to continue talking with them, or you want to do business with them, or if you want to start dating them.
Right, right, right.
I lasted one quick coffee with this with the second date.
Yeah. Was it because of the topic of conversation?
Absolutely, it was just a big turnoff. Big turnoff. Right?
Okay. Yeah.
So I know everybody has history, but on a second date,
was it being dwelled on?
It was being dwelled on. Yeah. So it was just like and I knew, it just wasn't for me.
Yeah,
it wasn't for me. I've signed up for another one. It was an activity. It's coming up here in the next couple of weeks here.
Speed dating?
No, it's a activity dating. Like there's a games and things, and you're supposed to do some games, and you use this app to match, like if you match and such.
Right.
I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
Oh.
Right.
So what was the quality of people that you found that were at that speed dating?
Quality. How am I supposed to be explaining quality? Some of them might be listening.
Right.
I think the quality was, not. It wasn't, the quality wasn't for me.
Right.
I just, that wasn't the pool of people that I wanted to meet. Like I have,
Right.
I think we discussed this before. I have no problem, sitting anywhere, being by myself, and and chat with people.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And for those that don't, that aren't as comfortable, maybe speed dating is for them. Right. So.
Right. And it's those people, because I've had a lot of friends that have gone.
Yes.
And I'm like, yeah, just go. Let me know, because I don't want to go.
Yeah.
And so
they're doing some market research for you.
Yeah. But so they're like, Anna, they could have used your elevating, or like, and it's just like, because everybody's away.
Yes.
Right. But there's always there's always room for like improvement.
Yes.
Right. Or just like with the way that they look, or like, and I pick up, because I am so particular.
Yes.
And it's one of those things where if I'm like, I know, even some of my friends, I'm just like, I know how I am. Like I had a sleepover a couple times with my girlfriends, and I'm like, so like, when are like the lights gonna get dimmed, or like, things like that. It's just like, I'm very particular with my experiences just in life in general, right?
Do you take care of that with your events?
Oh, I every detail, I'm like, okay, well, this is how production. It should be. Oh yeah. And it's not even about anybody else.
Yeah.
It's about like, I have something that I want to go to.
Yes.
Right. And so it's like, because a lot of these events I'm noticing, and there's a lot of money put into them.
Absolutely.
But then I'm like, I mean, like I can do better.
Yes.
I went to even just like something last night, and it was like, it's a premium product. Like it was a car thing.
Yeah.
But it was like a little party for like a race, right? And I'm like, man, like I go there, and the kids right away, they're like, is there Wi-Fi? And I'm like, because it was dry. There was no music playing. There was like, and I'm like, man. And so the whole time, I'm like looking around, It's like, who is responsible for this, right? Because I know what I can do.
Yes. Yeah.
And just like how to elevate it. So it's an experience, but it's the people.
Yes. Yeah.
And it doesn't take much, but it's like it's hard to get people to be like, oh, this is something I should try.
Absolutely.
Right. And that's what I'm trying to get people. So I'm trying to figure out, even like I'm itemizing services so that I can more quickly put packages together that are just more suitable or customizable for each individual. Right.
Great. Wow.
Yeah.
You missed out on the recent event.
Oh yeah.
The Great Gatsby.
Right.
So that was from basically that was from a group here in Calgary, the Adventure Calgary group.
That was their event?
That was the event that I put it on. Like so basically being part of that Adventure Calgary group,
yeah,
you can put on your own events, right? And you invite everybody to it and such. So I had popped up, I think 2 months ago or 3 months ago, that the Great Gatsby event was coming to Calgary. Get your tickets. Blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Tickets are about they were about $100 or something like that.
Right.
And I said, if we get enough people, then I'm going to plan a dinner, a dinner and drinks beforehand.
Yeah.
So we did. We were at the office for dinner and drinks. Brand new spot. It's by the same group that owns the Met.
Yeah, I popped my head in yesterday.
Yeah, it's really nice. Yeah. So they took really good care of us, and their drinks were amazing. Their cocktails were amazing, and their food was really good. And then that just kind of loosened up a little bit to everybody. Because some people actually there was only really one couple there, but everybody else was single. Right.
Okay.
So it gave us all a chance to dress up, have dinner, have some cocktails before we went to the main event.
Yeah.
Right. And then we also had we had a specific section, right, cornered off for us, and it was just a full experience. They got the VIP experience of being in Calgary and attending an event. So it was funny. We had there was the ticket line.
Okay.
There was a ticket line, general tickets, and then there was a bypass line. For the tickets, I think you paid extra $5 for that.
Okay.
And I called up my buddy and I said, I have this group of 20. Some of them have advanced tickets, some of them have general tickets, but I'd like all 20 of us to come in at the same time.
Right.
Like, yep. So we walked up at 9:00 and everybody's like in the advanced line. They're like, well, why do they get to go in?
Yeah.
He's this is a special group. And I was like, great. So everybody just felt like the VIP experience.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you're trying to aim for your events as well.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And it's kind of about even just being a part of an exclusive thing. Yes. Right. Like, so now I'm getting more, I'm not tooting my own horn by any means, but I'm getting more recognized. I'm getting more people are starting to see what I bring. And my friends are beautiful, right? So, and they're funny and they don't get pissed drunk, when they go out, right? Yep. So it's just and not everybody has their own thing, right? And do what they please.
You're not there to babysit attendees.
100%.
That's the thing.
Right? Yeah.
We're all adults.
Yeah.
And but you're there to give everybody the same experience.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But also carry yourself well, brush your teeth, dress well, things like that, shower, right? Yeah. These are all very basic things. But I'm trying to everybody, there's room for elevation.
Yes.
Right. And so it's just even just that, just step it up.
Yeah.
Right.
So is there a dress theme to this one that
I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure of those details yet, but it'll be it'll be an experience. I'm trying to just make it so it's because there's a lot of the way that I live, I'm very balanced, right? And so I'll go for walks every day, so they're off leash, and I'll actually I'll plant myself because my dog just kind of does his thing, and I'll meditate, right? And I'll just kind of I'll go over a lot of thoughts, or I'll just clear my mind, things like that. Where was I going with that? Oh, right. So the way what people don't do often is stop and smell the roses.
Nope.
Right? Or just shut off. Or I met someone that I had been following that we had some conversation on Instagram or for a while.
Yeah.
And I talked to everybody, right? But I saw him in person. And it was it's one of those things too. It's because they're my buddy. You know what I mean? Even though it's just I just met them, right? Yeah. I think that's why people will, kind of they open up.
Yeah.
to me, right? And which is, it can be exhausting, but also like I'm interested, right?
Yes. Yeah.
But this guy, balanced life. He's like, his work life balance. He's always like been mindful of that, and he works out, and he just well-rounded human. Yeah. And it's like, so those people, I'm like, okay, I'm like, well, you're coming to my next event. Like, I don't care where you are next month, because that's what I'm trying, like, that those are the people that I'm getting, right? Okay. And they're coming to my events because I'm like their buddy, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And buddies support buddies.
Totally. And a vibe is the same vibe. Like, someone even asked me for like the matchmaking stuff, and he's like, well, he's like, no, because like I gave him a quote, and it was like, it can be scary sometimes, right? Like a price tag, but it's like, it was a quote for over the year, right? In that was like 10 matches, dating coaching, me planning the dates, things like that, right? I know what people, I get to know what people like very quickly. Yeah. And to create an experience that's fun and cool. It's just like, there's like so much, it's so much more fun, right? But he's like, at the end, so I got on the phone with him, and at the end of it, he's like, okay, cool, let's see. He's like, but I want you, but like 20 years older. Yeah. I'm like, okay, well, my vibe attracts my vibe, right? Yes, exactly. So, like, challenge accepted, right? Yes, so, yeah, that's
nice.
That's kind of where, very nice. I'm wanting to make a good experience for everybody. Just like get people feeling those things. Okay, so that's why I went down this route.
Yes.
I want people to experience the things like the sunset and that kind of like take your breath away feeling.
Yes.
And so that's in some capacity that I'm going to create this experience for people at my event.
Well, it's using the 5 senses.
Yes.
Right. So when you started this a year ago, are you sort of doing it so that you can find your person as well?
Okay, so I was seeing someone,
okay,
right, for a little while, and he'd gone and come back. I think I talked about him the last time.
Okay,
having no time.
Yes.
And so the same thing kind of happened.
Okay.
And so I was just frustrated, right? Because I'm like, well, I'm sitting here, like, because people come to me for dating advice all the time, and even just what to say, or because I'm a good communicator.
Yes.
And so people will be like, well, how do I say this? And I'll say this beautiful, like, it's almost like poetry, and they're like, oh my God, thank you, right?
Yes.
And then meanwhile, I'm putting up with some bullshit, in my life. And so it didn't work out again. And it was one of those things where I was like, I can try to be patient, and I can try to work with someone, while they figure out their thing, and we can slowly get to know each other and things like that. But that, and like, and lack of communication and not having a plan, those things actually make me insane.
Yes.
Right. And it makes me anxious, and it makes me sad, and it makes me worried, and it makes me confused. And so I had to end it, which was so sad, right? Because I didn't want to.
Yeah.
But at the end of that, I was like, oh, it was like, it was a relief, right? Mm-hmm. And so there was a thing on Instagram that I posted, and it was about how we can all try to be something and try to work on not being anxious or not having attachment, an anxious attachment or things like that. Yeah. But at the end of the day, we like what we like.
Yes.
Right. And so it's like, it was saying something about how you want someone to not fuel your anxiety, but to just not have you feel anxious. Like, it's just,
this is what, when you say vibe, you want to vibe with somebody.
Yeah. And you want to know that
in the same rhythm.
Yeah. And so if you like a text message every day, or if you like a check-in, you just like that.
Yes.
And there's going to be someone who's just going to want to do those things because they care about you, or that's what they're used to, or they like that also. And then in turn, they want to give that feeling to someone else, or that reassurance. Right. Yeah. And that's just who I am.
Yeah.
Right. I am who I am. I know I'm particular. I know I like, but I know my standards or my expectations are not unreasonable.
Yeah. And where did you meet this potential suitor for yourself?
Organically. Yeah.
Organically. See?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which was really nice. And so now I'm like, so I've been hearing a lot of things and frustrations about the apps.
Yes.
And so for me, I'm like, I've tried it. I tried it for like a year and a half, like consistently. Like I dove into it when I left my husband.
Okay.
And then I did it every now and then. I'd get off and I'd start a new one and I'd start seeing someone and then I'd get back on. Like it wouldn't work out. But it's just like there are more frustrations in that world than anything else right now.
And which apps were you using?
Oh, they're all the same. Hinge, Bumble. Yeah. I got banned on Tinder. I think I mentioned.
Banned on Tinder?
Yeah.
What did you do?
I was promoting I was like, hey, I'm here
really?
to help you.
Yes, yeah.
And so like one day I was just like, fuck it. I'm like, I'm going to go on.
Yes.
And then I it had been on, like my profile had been on there for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So enough to build up, likes and matches, whatever. So I like swiped right on everybody.
Yeah.
And then I was very upfront. I'm like, hey, did you read my little bio, whatever? And they're like, well, yeah, but what about you?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, no, I'm like just trying to help people. And it says that the next day I got like someone reported me.
Oh shoot.
But I was like, well, that's not even like the avenue I want to go anyways.
But, this is the apps are to find your potential suitors as well, right? So
yeah.
Not your potential suitors, but that's why we use apps. So the recent study that Tinder put up, and it just I just read the headline on it. Tinder says that everybody that's using the app is looking for romance.
Right.
Right. Now, what kind of romance that is it like, the quick romance or the lifelong romance?
Right.
I think for those that are looking for the quick romance, that's what apps are for. Right. So right.
And the longer that you're on it, the more that you're used to just like finding something else if something doesn't go right.
Yeah.
Right. And I had a conversation about this. They're like gamifying
for sure.
the dating world, right?
Yeah.
Which is gross.
It is gross. And it's inhumane. Like I was just speaking to actually somebody that and I'm actually going to have her on this podcast because we're talking about like modern dating.
Right.
And so she's in her 40s as well. And so we were talking about Hitchyyc and how she found me on a podcast. And she found, I think you sent her the other podcast with we Yes Man? The Yes Man?
Oh yeah.
And then she found my podcast and then she started following me. Okay. And I was like, hey, how do we know each other? And she like linked it to this. Right? So it was great.
Like, awesome.
And I met her the other day. I was like, hey, if we're gonna go on a podcast, let's meet.
Yeah.
And we're gonna do a podcast with some high value 40-year-olds, right? So
awesome.
So they're gonna join. We're gonna get them to your event as well.
Oh, beautiful. Right? So yeah.
I'm doing a little bit of side recruiting for you here.
Awesome. I'll have to do some kind of referral system.
Exactly. but that's how I'm finding also my potential suitors as well, right? Like, yes, the apps, it's easy, right? Yeah. But it's just not genuine. Like,
no, and it's just like there's just so many habits that are just formed, like I said, when you've been on them for too long. Yeah. So for me now, like so my girlfriend, because that ended, and then my daughter also left to move to Montreal for a while.
Okay, yes, yeah.
So my heart can't take anymore,
yes,
right?
Exactly.
And so just like the pain, and so I'm kind of like, you know what? I'm done. Like I need to focus. Like I want to grow this business, right? And now I think is better time than ever.
Yes.
And so I was just like, I need to focus, and I need to kind of like and when I'm in something that's really heavy on me, and if it's not going well, it's really like it's so consuming. Like I'm actually like a blob. Yeah. Right. So I had to look at that too, right? Like and I've noticed too. Because a couple that I had, they had gotten together, and everybody checks in, right? And so that's the thing with
really?
It's great. Awesome. So I'm kind of like, when I do connect people, I'm kind of on both ends,
okay,
right? Which because I was married for a long time, and to have someone that's kind of like, and I know that things need to start, moving in a more organic way, also, but sometimes it's just as simple as like, okay, you like country music, and her being like, I hate country music, right? Yes, like I want to listen to something else. It's just like those little things that's like, hey, you like I'm just going to leave this here. I would send a text message, but you like country music, like bounce it out, like put some R&B and hip hop on. It's just like those little things that would make both people happy.
Exactly.
Where was I going with that?
You have your, the people that you match together, they update you on their
Right.
experience. So you're just not a dating you're like a relationship coach.
Yeah,
You'll
I'm like
walk them
I
through,
know what makes
yeah.
people happy on both ends, and I know that a lot of the time people are saying the same thing, and they're trying to communicate that,
Yeah.
but then they're like, there's resistance because there's just like they're not getting it. It's not being articulated, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And so there's always room for like a middleman,
Yes.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But with me, that's right. This is how my mind works. It's just like all these like,
That's all right. Pull that ADHD right here.
yeah, I'll take that one now.
Exactly.
We're going back to this.
Yeah.
But I'm only open at this point to someone who is all the things.
Yeah.
And it's when, for me, I'm very much like, the manifestation and the energy you give out or the message that you want, that you're wanting for yourself or, I feel like you put it out there and it's just like, that's what you're going to get.
Well, those are in one of my other podcasts about talking about modern dating.
Yeah.
One of my guests, Amelia, she had gone through a recent breakup as well.
Okay.
And, her thing is about non-negotiables. And she talked about non-negotiables. So she's in her 20s.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So imagine if you're in your 30s, you have non-negotiables, a list like this long.
Yeah.
In your 20s.
Mm-hmm.
Non-negotiables when you're in your 30s. Mm-hmm. And non-negotiables in your 40s.
Yeah.
And then you add those non-negotiables with people that you've had relationships with before too.
Yes.
Right? So you had a very long relationship, with your, and, you have this set. And it's, I called it the rules. No, it's not. It's basically just who you want your person to be.
Yeah.
Right?
And how you want to feel.
Exactly.
Right?
It shouldn't, it is, a relationship is work, but it should be, mutual work.
Yeah. And right? It's a choice.
Yes.
Yeah. Right? You need to like want to, because there's like, even with that last guy, it was one of those things where I'm like, okay, like, how about a plan?
Yeah.
Like, how about a plan of like when I'm going to see you next?
Yeah.
And I couldn't even get that. And I'm just kind of like, okay, I tried all the things, and it's just like, if it's not, I can't force and I can't chase, and I'm not doing
chase.
that anymore.
Don't chase.
I know who I am.
Exactly.
Right. And I know that I get attention. And it's like a lot of the time it's like, from someone that I'm not interested in romantically.
Yeah.
Because every now and then it comes, and then I'm like, but then a lot of the time it's just like I'm going through, but I'm like, but I can help you like find someone.
Exactly, yeah,
right?
Yeah.
But it's just like, this time it's like, that's it. I know what I want. I know how I want to feel.
Yeah.
I don't want to feel any anxiety. I don't want to feel any worry or confusion. And I want to be able to like focus on other things, not be consumed by feeling sad or waiting for a text message or, things like that. I just don't want to do that.
Oh, and nobody ever should be.
Right.
Nobody ever should be waiting for a text message, because that's distracting. There's
and it's silly.
It exists. Yeah. So there's dating to be distracted, right? Like I call it to be distracted, because, there's other things that, is going on in my life and in my mind that it's great to, it's great to date people. Right? Yeah. And it's distraction dating. Right. So, because there might be a glimmer of hope there that, that person might be your person, and you're trying to discover, who they are. But, and then there's also the fun, romantic, intimate moments with people that, that you meet.
Yeah.
So I love this part of, discovering, who that next person would be for me.
Right.
Right. And and this has just been up until, probably, I think we chatted about this last time, is, I was on the apps and stuff, and then I just said, hey, you know what? I'm done dating for now. Yeah. I'm going to focus on myself. I need to get myself out of all the things that I need to do.
Right.
Right. Because I just don't need it. I don't need any of those distractions right now. And, I decided at the beginning of this year, okay, you know what? I'm ready to, go out and meet people again.
Yeah.
And everybody has to, in their lives, especially if they've been in marriages and, and divorce, you got to go through that point of healing. Right?
For sure.
And that's, I think I did the work over the last year. I, did some healing. I'm still healing.
Of
Everybody's
course,
still
always
healing, right?
So, growing and healing, always. Yeah.
And, it's a nice little break. Now I'm like okay, I can be a contributor. I now know that, my life, my personal life is good again. Now I can be, I can contribute and, find somebody else to help, contribute to my life.
Yeah.
Right. And that's how I'm looking at this whole thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, yeah, and it's just being open. That's what I tell a lot of people.
Yeah.
And even like with like the lifestyle coaching and dating coaching, it's more of improving someone's life, right? Like it's just like it's having them experience whatever experience and being open to like walking down that street, you know what I mean, and being okay with that and just seeing and going places by yourself. I put myself in any situation.
Yeah.
And then I'm starting to get like invites for, like high level people, like high level people, and they're inviting me to their birthday party at their house, right? So it's like awesome, things like that, and they're always like, yeah, we'll introduce you. And so it's like I'm like yes, like. And even there was a nutritionist that I just talked to the other day, and she's like, well, what if we were to plan an event together? And so I'm starting to do that a little bit more too. Okay. It's just like collaboration, because even though those, like, there's so much opportunity there, right? So this girl has like a running club, and it's women.
Okay.
And she's got like 30 women in this club, and she's like they're mostly single.
Yes.
I'm like, yes.
There's a lot of single people out there.
There's a lot. Single people out there.
Yes, yeah.
And so so we're gonna just try to do something around that, but it's just like that's also another 30 people that that I can add to my network, right?
Keep growing the community.
Yeah, it's growing. It's like it's happening. Great. But I just want people to be like, just be open to any situation, right? People are so scared.
They are, and this is speaking from personal experience. Right now, guys are afraid to make moves, right? Because we're back in the dating game, and there's all these rules. It's not to I think downplay the Me Too movement on sexual assault and things like that. But it for us guys that are out there, we have to tread very carefully, right? If we see somebody that we want to date, or even just buy a drink,
right?
It's very risky for us men. Right. It is, and it's
I've heard this.
It's a scary environment out there dating,
right?
And you just don't want to be put in the wrong light,
right?
And it's a very thin line for men right now, when we're trying to meet people out there,
right?
So meeting people organically at an event like this, high value people that maybe they're in it for to find somebody, but they're also in it for the event.
Totally.
Right? They're in it to be part of the community.
Yeah.
And I think that's you have that cushion of, I guess, safety for men,
right,
and also women, right? That are going to these events, because I sure hope that the tickets are more than $40, right? Because the experience that you're going to be paying for, it's probably going to be worth $150, and that puts you into this next level, of high value people that attend these events.
Because I'm getting them. That's the difference. And everybody that I ask is like that they've gone to like a singles, like Calgary singles thing, and I'm not downplaying anyone else's event, but it really comes down to like the people that I'm bringing in, because I don't deal with bullshit, and shitty people, and like people, so I did this sound bath. I don't know if you saw that the other day, or last week. It was in Cochrane. Gorgeous place.
Nice. What video was this?
Pardon?
What video? You had the big dome.
Yeah, so it's can I mention names, or Vibe High, I think that's
Vibe High.
Vibe High. But it was a sound bath, and it was like, and for me it was like one of those things where I'm like, there's a lot, like the little breakup, or if you want to call that, and then my daughter leaving, and then like just being like in a position where I'm like, okay, I need to make some changes now, or I need to move on things, or like like take some action. So I've been in a place of like like a shift, like an energy and life change and all that kind of stuff. So that was actually like a letting go kind of experience.
Yeah.
And it's funny when I'm going to something like that, it's like everything in my life is like, it's all kind of relevant to whatever that is. Absolutely, right? Yeah. Even this TikTok thing someone sent me, and it was about manifestation and how it's not about just attract or putting out there and then getting what you want back. They're like, oh, sorry, no, the law of attraction. That's what it was. It was talking about that, and it wasn't just about what you're putting out to get back. It's mostly about letting go to be open to get what you're wanting. And so for me, it was like the let go part. Because I'm like, there's something, and I looked at this after that last one didn't work out. Yeah. Because I'm like, I looked at it and I'm like, he's kind of the same guy as all the other guys. So like the emotionally unavailable. He's just he was closer.
Yes.
But I'm like, okay, so now this is like on me.
Yeah.
Right? Because I'm like, I'm attracting the same type of human.
Yeah.
And so then I'm like, I need to take a step back and start like looking at what it is. And so that thing about like letting go, I was like, okay, so yeah, I need to figure out what it is that's inside of me where I feel not worth it and not good enough and all those things. Because I know who I am.
Yeah.
And I have enough people in my life telling me that. But I need to, when I get into a relationship romantically, those things start coming out.
Was this an all-female retreat?
No, it wasn't.
Oh, no, there's male there too.
Oh, male, yeah. And it was
Vibe high, so you plant-based medicine involved.
No, nothing.
Nothing.
No, it was just like, it was a sound bath. So it was like the bowls, and it was like you would go and she'd put you into like just like a relaxed state. So you've closed your eyes or whatever. You've envisioned a safe, place, wherever that you revisit that. And then she goes and the frequencies, the vibrations, it's like very healing and kind of like, it's very therapeutic.
Okay.
But one thing that she said in that was, if you are like if you're a human with like a high vibration, you can make people feel amazing.
Yeah.
And make people feel good and warm and safe, or you can trigger them. It's like the opposite.
Yes.
So I've even noticed with myself, it's because I am high vibration human, right? People like I walk down the street and it's just like, I feel people they want to just come and talk to me, or people just like, I put out something and I'm like, yeah, I'm open, universe, right?
Yes.
And then it just gets kind of put in front of me, but, or people don't they hate me. Yeah. It's one of the things that doesn't happen often. But it happens every now and then. Someone's just kind of like skeptical of like my, whatever. And then for me, I'm like, okay, because I mean, I'm only have good intentions all the time.
Well, you mentioned this last time. So when you introduce yourself to new people,
right?
Or new, I'm going to call them suitors.
Okay.
I'm going. I'm using old term here.
Yeah,
the suitors.
The Great Gatsby.
Exactly. Exactly. That's exactly where it's coming from, right?
Yeah.
The Great Gatsby. And you tell them when you ask. There's obviously the conversation. Also, what do you do? What do you do?
Right.
And then you mentioned that. That then when you mention that you're Hitch YYC, this is what you do. Then people will start questioning your intentions.
Yes.
Are you experiencing that like a lot?
I know. So for my, if someone's interested in me and I'm interested in them, no. Okay. It's because I think, I think when I am genuine, because I am, and I'm always authentic, right? So if I am into someone, I feel like people feel it.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's like, unless they don't, I don't know, because some guys would think that, I'm like, there's no, like, like some people think that they're like, oh, there's maybe a chance here, right? And it's just like, it's not that, right? But, yeah, I mean, there is some kind of like, because I did before we had our last podcast.
Yeah.
I went on a little dating thing.
Yeah.
But those guys, they were all from the app, and I don't know if it's like just a different pool of people, but they were all very, very skeptical of like what my intentions were. Yeah. But I'm open to right now. So I just recently met someone, and who knows where it goes.
Yes. Yeah.
A couple people actually.
Is that why you're glowing a little bit?
About what?
You're glowing a little bit.
Well, I don't know. Yeah. It's one of those things I just we'll see. Even my girlfriends are just like, wow,
exactly. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But so the last one, and this was just one night, it was after the raindrop thing, and we went to Sweet Loretta for a drink or whatever. Okay. And I was over the socializing stuff, so I kind of left my friends, and I went downstairs, and so the whole emotionally unavailable thing, I was like, that's it, I'm done, that part. Yeah. And so then this guy came and sat beside me, and I was like, oh, hello, right? He was a beautiful man, right? Mm-hmm. And so we chatted for an hour and a half or whatever it was, and he was sitting there telling me that he had been cheated on and whatever, but he's like, he's like, I cry, I'm emotionally, and I'm like, and so if there's anything that I would take from that interaction was that I'm like, there's a man in front of me that is telling me, that he cries and he's being vulnerable and he's open, and so that didn't go anywhere.
Gents, if you are vulnerable, it's ladies love it. Ladies love it.
Please
be vulnerable.
Just do it.
Yeah.
So so if anything, that was something I was like, okay. And because I'm going back to the whole manifestation and putting it out into the universe, I was wanting this thing, and I was intentional about it. I'm like, I'm not going to take anything less than, right? I need this because I am this way. And I don't need a man in my life, but this is what I want in the man that's going to be in my life, right? Yeah. And then just recently, I was just like I said, I'm not open to anybody that's emotionally unavailable or not ready or not in the same space or anything. And so I went out the other night, and there was just a guy, and he came up and talked to us, and it was just it was beautiful. And for me, I'm very now I'm like, okay.
Well done, dude.
Well, yeah. And he did well. And then I was just like, okay, so what is it though? I'm like, what? So do you cry? When was the last time you cried? I gave him a little interview because I'm just so tired of the bullshit.
Yes. Yeah.
And then it's watching my friends and my, the ladies in my life going through these things. It's been making me lose a little bit of hope in men.
It is. Yes. Yeah.
Right. And I hate to say that, but it's just and I know that women need, as they need help too, some women. Yeah. But
lots of women need help.
It's feeling defeating, right? For a lot of people. Yeah. So and I've met, and at the same time, I've met a lot of men who are emotionally available and all those things. It's just they're having, and so I'm always trying to match. I'm always trying to think about if somebody says they're single, I'm like, oh, okay, then they start rolling, right?
Yeah. So you're not using, for relationships, you're not using this algorithm. You're just using
just a vibe.
The vibe, yeah.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
And I told my daughter moved to Montreal because that was when I went to Montreal last year. That was the first time I actually I started loving myself.
Yeah.
And that was a big thing. People would always be like, well, you got to love yourself. And I'm like, well, I don't know what does that mean? I I love myself. But then it was that. And I started noticing there, if I walk down the street, people are like, oh, they're curious and they're wanting to come and talk to me. And so as sad as I was that my daughter left, I was like, I want her to experience that.
Yeah.
And just the vibe and understand that. And
did she move over there for the boy?
She moved over. Yeah, she did. And she's doing her last year of university.
University. Okay. All right.
So she's doing things and it's, in Montreal, there's no better place. Oh. The only thing is that language barrier. So she's having a hard time finding a job.
Oh, okay.
But
Montreal, out of all the places in Quebec, it's the most English friendly.
And I was fine when I went there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, to anybody, the Uber driver, right. But there was always a good thing, right? Yeah. So
if she was in actually Quebec, in any other place in Quebec.
Yeah.
That's Montreal is the hub of
I love it there.
Bilingualism.
Yeah.
And my French gets really good after a few tonics.
Oh, really? Do you know how to speak French?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh,
absolutely.
I wish I did.
Yeah, I used to work for a company that was based out of Montreal, and it was what I learned was the French people, my French teams, they were always they always had their backs up because they thought that their English wasn't good enough. Right. So I always made I was like, okay, well, let's all drink afterwards, blah, blah, blah. And then the next day, we're all working together because everybody's like all comfortable with each other.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But that's the thing that if you've never been to Montreal before and you move to Montreal, they are, the Francophones are just as afraid of how their English will sound when they talk to you, right? Because blah, blah, blah. And but there's some common ground that gets found there.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, for sure. Good people. You find your people, right?
Yeah.
Like.
Plus, I love Montreal. Oh gosh,
I love it.
Culture.
I love it.
All the different areas in Montreal.
Yeah.
The Plateau. I don't know if you've been to the Plateau.
No.
Oh my gosh. Montreal. I will give you the tour of Montreal.
Oh yeah,
That's amazing. Yeah, that's great.
It was my experience there was, and I didn't do too much, but I did walk around a lot.
Yeah.
But I met new people, I made new friends, and and even those people, they're still like, they were like, drinking a couple weeks ago, and I guess they're like, hey, so it's one of those things where it's like I do leave a mark, like when the places that I go, which is so heartwarming, right? Like those people like really were so special to me, right? So, but it's about a vibe, and I want my daughter to feel that, and I'm feeling that. I want everybody to go on those things because it's like it means something.
Absolutely. No, they have to experience life.
Yeah, and then in turn, then you're bettering yourself, and you're putting out a better version of yourself, right? And then that attracts what you're wanting.
Yeah. She's going to McGill?
No, she's just doing it online.
Online?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, McGill's a wonderful, wonderful place.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, it would have been nice to say, yes.
Great spot.
Yeah. That's where she's going. But no.
I'd like to say, yes, she's going to McGill.
My daughter's going there.
Yeah. Excellent. Chat about.
Well, I guess just an overview of like what I've kind of decided that what HitchYYC is.
Okay.
Is like the dating coaching, and inside of that it is like, lifestyle coaching and date planning and the matchmaking and just the critiquing and kind of being mindful of things that could be improved.
Yeah.
And then it's like my events, it's like Hitch events, and then it's also event planning is what it's kind of turned into. So Hitch is like, absolutely. It's become one of those things where people are like, oh my God, thanks.
Well, the thing is, you're building a community, and that is one of the most ideal things that we need in any business.
Yeah.
Right. In any venture that you do, you got to build a community around it. Right. So the more that you have in your community, the more that will support it. Right.
Yes.
And they'll have the same expectation, and you just got to keep up with those expectations. Yeah. And I think it speaks very well when you can say that you started this business a year ago,
right?
And it's evolved, and that community's growing, and it just gets easier and easier. Right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
For you
and just the people that I'm meeting, it's just like it's incredible, right? Like even like the things that the events that I'm getting introduced to or like invited to, it's just like. So I'm also, so what I eventually want to do is maybe even have like a monthly or annual subscription.
Yeah.
But in that, it'll be, there'll be an option to have all the events included for the year, and then also just like exclusive invites, like to the private parties that I go to.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. So things are happening.
So if people want to sign up for what's going on, like where do they go?
So they go to my website, hitchyyc.ca.
Hitchyyc.ca.
And that I'm still kind of, there's information on it. And there is ways to kind of to contact me.
Okay.
But there will be a process that I'm just trying to figure out now.
Excellent. And you're on Instagram?
On Instagram, HitchYYC.
Okay. Facebook? Do you have a Facebook?
Yeah, same. Okay. Oh, yeah, I do. Okay. That one I'm not on too much.
Yeah.
But actually, and I do a lot of stuff through my Anna Ahmed.
Just as some advice, Facebook is a great tool.
Yeah.
To build community.
Right.
And that's exactly what it was made for.
Yes. Right? So, yeah. And I get that. And there's a lot of people that I'm connecting with on there.
Yeah.
I met a girl in the bathroom last year. Right? I have all these little conversations, like these 3-minute conversations in the bathroom.
Yeah.
But beautiful people. I can't help but like just to be like, hey, are you
Yeah.
Are you single? Or, like, what's your story?
Yeah.
So she was seeing someone.
Okay.
And I could tell from the conversation it wasn't going well.
Yeah.
And so finally, like a year later, she messages me and she's like, she's like, I'm finally done. I'm single, right? I'll be like reaching out. And so I'm like, oh yeah, you mentioned that it wasn't working, right? So she's like, oh my God, that was like that long ago. I was still talking about this. And so, and then so she's like, yeah, I'll be at one of your events. But then she's like, I've noticed even on like Facebook, she's like, all like these good looking guys, you're like a mutual connection.
Yeah.
And so because I've been trying to grow, like, cause I'll reach out everywhere, constantly trying to just, continuously getting people, that's growing. Right. And it's like now because I meet someone and then we connect on Facebook and then I'm now exposed to their, like how the algorithm works or whatever, but I'm exposed to like their people now. So it's just like more like, from the beginning when I had no contacts, like it's now like the people in my people you may know are like really great looking people, right? And like, like high level people.
Well, so it's like how, recruiters for jobs use LinkedIn.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? So on Facebook and on actually one of the dating coaches that I was introduced to, she talks a lot about meeting people organically through Instagram.
Right.
Right. And you can do your research on.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of things you can find out about people online. Right?
Yeah.
So it's I find, apps. Yeah. The relationship apps are not that great.
Right.
But these social media apps.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
They're very helpful.
Yeah.
Very helpful.
But not everybody's looking for this thing, right?
No,
on that. They're just kind of there and they're, their stuff is there. Yeah. And it's for the public.
For very attractive ladies on there, I hear that, basically you put your profile up and within 24 hours, you've got 1,000, 1,000 potential matches.
Yeah.
Right. And, for men, it's opposite. Right.
Yes.
You're like looking and okay, match. And you know what? There is a lot of work that goes into, matching for the guys.
Oh, for sure.
It's not a fair game.
No.
If you're going to be using apps alone to meet people.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So.
There was a video that I saw on Instagram and I reposted it. I don't know if you saw that the other day, but it was about how, again, like the 10% of men that are on the dating apps are getting all the attention and it's creating bad behavior.
Oh, yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
And so I'm like, well, that was the whole premise of the business. That was like the initial thing. I'm like, well, let's make that 10%, 20%. Or, you know what I mean? Let's like, even if it is just that's the avenue, then let's make them better. Let's take better pictures. Let's have a better profile. Absolutely. Let's like, all those things. Yeah. Because it is, women, like it's easy.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But it's like it's creating bad behavior all around.
Yeah.
Right? Because also women will get on there and they'd be like, let's just go to your house. Yeah. And I'm like, huh? Why are you doing that? Right? So it's just like it's creating bad behavior.
Well, that happens when you meet people organically too. Like it's
I know.
It is yeah, like I said, it's like this modern dating. Oh my gosh, it's like my mind's blown. My mind's blown.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
yeah.
But I want to thank you for joining me again.
Yes.
June 28th, you have the Hitchyyc event.
Yes.
Everybody follow her on Instagram, Hitchyyc, or on go to her website, hitchyyc.ca. And just before we go here, I just wanted to thank my sponsors. I'll sponsor Cat's Barn Podcast. Here, you come for the beer, you stay for the conversation. So thanks again for coming out.
Thank you. Oh, can I mention one more thing?
Yeah, what?
I have a buddy that is having a concert on May 30th.
Okay.
And it's a very like kind of spiritual freedom, forward type event. The Awakening, it's called the Awakening Tour. Okay. Yeah, so it'll be on some of my stories and things like that. I'm trying to get some tickets sold. Yeah. And I'm going to be running a couple contests also. So just support my buddy.
The Awakening's on May 28th.
Yes. No, May 30th.
May 30th.
Yeah.
Okay. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
And there's more to come. But get on the website, get on the mailing list.
Get on the mailing list. Be a part of the community.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
All right. Thanks again, Anna.
No loss. Okay, thank you.
Take care.